Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight. I want to talk about where we're headed in terms of as we try to get out of the cities, they want to try to keep us in. That's Agenda 21. There's a 2030 Agenda for Sustainability. It's the UN agenda. Both of those are UN agenda. And how are they going to enact that against the wishes of the people? We had a story that was on the Drudge Report today talking about the mass exodus out of the cities. 66,000 people leaving the Chicago area, moving to rural areas because they're afraid of what's going to happen with a societal breakdown. We have a very fragile infrastructure. It's very complicated, and that makes it very fragile. So one of the things that you need to keep in mind, this is the last day, too, that we have for our select storable food. We have it 30 to 40% off at InfoWarsStore.com. 30 to 40% off InfoWars Select Storable Food. And again, that is food that is made in the USA. It has a shelf life of 25 years. You can buy that now at this discounted price to help smooth out price fluctuations in the supply of food, as well as to provide for yourself in the case of a climate emergency. You know, if Al Gore is right and all of a sudden everything melts. Or if you have a hurricane, if one day the National Weather System is right and you have a hurricane that is the magnitude they say it's going to be, or a storm that is the magnitude they say it's going to be for a hurricane, then you'll be prepared. Or if the grid goes out, whatever. It's a good time to prepare for yourself, to give yourself independence from price fluctuations so that you're not subject to the vagaries of easily manipulated markets. And of course, you can see that today in what's happening with the stock market. They can pump stuff up and they can take it down, and there can be real causes for that, or it can be totally manufactured. But right now, we have 30 to 40% off InfoWars Select Storable Food. This is the last day that you'll find for that. Also, make sure that you sign up for our free newsletter if you haven't. You can go to InfoWars.com/newsletter, sign up for the newsletter, get our articles sent directly to you, as well as a daily special. Today's daily special on the newsletter is the Power Pack for 40% off. So take a look at that and sign up for that. You can get directly online to get our information without being censored by social media bots, which is increasingly what is happening. Now, what I was talking about was this situation with Uber. The fact that there was this accident that looked pretty bad when you saw the picture of it. The Uber car was on its side, and they say, well, no, it wasn't really a problem for Uber. It was the human. And that is the tack that Wired Magazine is taking. Just as I said, they were the ones who talked about Petraeus bragging about using the Internet of Things in your home. All of your appliances, anything that has a connection to the Internet, they can use to spy on you, especially if it has some kind of a microphone so that you can give voice commands to it, or if it's hooked up to an app so that you can control this thing, remote control, then they can use that to monitor you. Even if they're not listening to your voice, even if they're not taking a picture of you, just the fact that it is hooked up to the Internet, they can start monitoring your behavior patterns and so forth. And that is something that they're very interested in doing. The National Spatial Intelligence Agency is growing by leaps and bounds. I've got a story about that here as well. You need to understand the implication of that. But they pushed back on that when Kellyanne Conway talked about it. Now they're pushing back against the idea that we have human drivers are the problem. They say the Uber self-driving crash in Tempe, Arizona is a reminder of human terribleness. Human terribleness. Yeah, driving itself, it had the right-of-way and it bears no blame. That's what they said. So the cars that are created by humans, because they're big multinational corporations that are heavily subsidized by the government, they bear no responsibility because they're going to be tools of surveillance, tools of control in the future. So they can do no wrong. I've got another article here of a guy who's saying that they're going to be superhuman safe and nobody is going to die. And of course, we were told that about Volvo was overselling that as well. They were saying, we're not going to have any more traffic fatalities anymore. Nobody is going to die. Well, that's what they're putting out there. But you know, the reality of this is that Uber has people in the cars because they have to take over control of the car every 0.8 miles. And every 100 to 200 miles, according to documents that were caught by Recode, they found that every 100 to 200 miles, they had a potential for a $5,000 accident or a traffic fatality by hitting a pedestrian. That's the reality of it. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I want to finish up what I was talking about, where we are going in terms of Agenda 21, in terms of this myth of the totally safe self-driving car. Anybody that's worked with computers understands that they're no better than the people who program them. But the public is not being told that story. Instead, we're being lied to by Wired Magazine saying the problem are these terrible humans. Terrible humans need to be taken out of the equation. And so the reality that Recode, which is a tech publication, got documents out of Uber, and they said, look at what's happening here. They've driven 20,000 some odd miles, and the cars had to be taken over every single mile by a human behind the wheel. Now, they're not doing as well as Waymo. Waymo is doing better, but still no prize there, because they still have to, they still have these disengagements, as they call them, where they're going to crash or fail. And we keep seeing this with Tesla when they go into automatic mode. And yet, I have this article here from Electrek, another cheerleader of this, saying the Tesla Model 3 will give superhuman safety to the driver and be 10 times safer than current cars, says a Tesla analyst, Adam Jonas. Okay, let's have a reality check here. I remember when atomic power was being sold to us back in the 1960s, and I remember reading all the stuff coming out of Oak Ridge Labs. I was soaking all of that stuff up as somebody who loved technology. And I remember them saying how safe and effective nuclear power was going to be. It was going to be so cheap, you wouldn't even monitor it. You wouldn't even meter it. And that's the fantasy utopia that they're selling us. Here's the reality, folks. They don't want to maintain our infrastructure, but even more importantly, they don't want you to have the anonymous ability to move about freely. It's part of getting rid of cash. They want a cashless society. They want to be able to monitor your every movement with these cars. They don't want you to own anything. They want you to rent everything from them, including the roads. They're not going to build any new roads unless they can get toll roads. Here's an example of this. Omaha, Nebraska residents are outraged as the city is turning their roads now to gravel. How's that for a metaphor of what they're doing in our country? Say residents of Omaha, Nebraska are seriously unhappy about the fact the city is turning their asphalt streets into dirt and gravel roads, according to the New York Times. Several decades ago, a developer made the decision to save money by paving hundreds of miles of streets on the outskirts of Omaha with asphalt overlay instead of concrete, meaning that the roads are not built to the city's standards. So they said, we don't want to maintain these things. Instead, we're just going to crush them and put gravel out. And if you look at the pictures that they've got here of people trudging through the muddy gravel roads and the potholes that are in it and the deteriorating roads, this is our deteriorating infrastructure. This is not even Detroit. The place that used to be the most prosperous area in the country, Detroit, Michigan, now is a monument to Democrat policies. They've turned it into a North American version of Venezuela. But it's happening in Republican Omaha, Nebraska, because they don't want to maintain our infrastructure. And they don't want to maintain our freedom and our ability to move around anonymously. They want to confine us to the cities, and this is the way they do it. They set up a control grid. They're going to mandate boxes. First step is to mandate boxes on your cars. They call it talking cars, and that is vehicle-to-vehicle communication. And, of course, that will work better for the cars that are connected in that network. But then, of course, you are going to be the unknown problem in the equation. They're going to have to get you out of that equation. You know, when they talk about self-driving cars on autopilot, that is never going to work as long as there's any humans anywhere close to it. We just had a near miss with Prince Charles's helicopter because of a drone. You can't put autopilot only works when you got airplanes and they keep tens of thousands of feet between each other and vertically and horizontally in every direction. You can't drive cars in close quarter with autopilot, so they're going to have to remove you out of the equation. And they're happy to do that because it's part of control. It's part of Agenda 21. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Talk show host is Alex Jones. He's a conspiracy theorist.
Radio talk show host Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
Jones is the wildly popular conspiracy theorist.
Radio talk show host and conspiracy theorist Alex Jones.
Deeply, I think, racist.
I just got called racist by MSNBC.
I don't want that man to have a gun.
1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
The Alex Jones Show. Watch the free stream live at Infowars.com/show.